From Southern Maryland's weather leader, this is a JB Weather Alert.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Forecaster John Bordash here with you in the Storm Center, giving you your 10 a.m. update on the weather. So if you can hear me fine, let me know in the comments. While I wait for that, we are really off to quite an active start. It's been quite a busy, just 6 hours here in the Weather Center. We've seen just about everything across the region, and gonna give you some weather whiplash, and the changes are only going to continue here over the next little bit. And everyone says they can hear me, which is great. So taking a look at live William Richmond Inc. radar right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and give this a pause to current time. Let's bring this to where we are right now. We are seeing that transition from rain, and this morning it was a heavy rain. We saw some thunderstorms move on through right around 7, 8 o'clock. We've seen that go to just plain heavy rain. Now we're seeing that transition from rain over to sleet. Western areas going over to a little bit of snow. Yeah, and it's definitely quite an active morning. We've been looking at snow falling through western parts of our region, closer to 301 I-95 for about the last half hour to an hour or so. In the open there, we had a live camera up from Indian Head, and actually we can come back on over to that and I can show you what it is we're looking at. There we go. Yeah, so this is the live look from Indian Head, and you can see we have plenty of snow covering the ground, or at least covering those grassy surfaces. Not so much accumulating on the roadways, which was expected. I think this is mainly just a grassy accumulation for many of us, and it's not much of an accumulation. I think Indian Head, this could be one of the areas where you see probably the most snow accumulation, but even there, you're only talking about a slushy inch to maybe 2 if you get lucky. Those highest totals locally are going to be found along 301 in our region. I think many of us are only talking about maybe up to a coating, from a coating to maybe up to an inch of slushy accumulation, mainly on grassy surfaces. Let me take you back on over here to radar though. And we can really see here that rain, snow, sleet line kind of cutting through southern parts of Calvert County, parts of St. Mary's County. If we change the way radar presents itself, this gives us a look at how similar or dissimilar objects are in the atmosphere. Radar is able to do a lot of crazy stuff, and this is one of those amazing features, and we use this a lot in the summertime with severe weather. We also use it in the winter, and during the winter, this can show us where we have a mix ongoing, where we have sleet falling. We have different size objects. Those then register as brighter colors, these yellows and those greens. And you can see that radar is really picking up on a nice band of sleet, probably moving through Chesapeake Beach, Huntingtown, additional areas of sleet down here near Mechanicsville, Chaptico, down towards Lusby, on over towards Valley Lee. And this isn't to say that more areas than this aren't seeing sleet, but that would be where we have, or these locations would be the areas where we're probably looking at the heaviest sleet and a gradual transition over to snow eventually. And this will continue to work its way down here to the south and east. As we zoom out a little bit, many areas to our north and west through DC on over towards Frederick, Maryland, looking at snow, we have that rain snow line crashing to the south and east. And if we put on our current temperatures, and we will let those load up slowly but surely. Lettertown's down to 37. We're talking 32 on over toward Andrews. So we have that cold air really rushing in, and even radar is picking up on a little bit of what might try to be a little bit of a dry slap forming. And we had talked about this earlier in the morning. If you were with me for the 7 a.m. update, Futurecast depicted the potential for some dry air to work into the system. That's another reason we're not talking about big snow accumulations. I would like to see if we're able to get our Futurecast loaded this time. When we tried this at 7, it was giving me a little bit of fuss. So we're going to hope for the best here. So let's see. Let's just try it with the temperatures. There we go. So it's able to load temperatures up. So let me get this switched over then over to Futurecast in its totality. Turn that off. Let's get the model timestamp loaded on there, and I want to make sure we have a loop loaded. It's 10 o'clock now. We'll just take this out through about 6, and we'll leave this where we are now. So Futurecast is doing a pretty good job of what we are seeing right now. We have that zone, that orange slice there represented in the legend as sleet. And sure enough, I think many of you are definitely seeing sleet in that region with snow back to the north and west. When you switch over from the sleet to the snow, that's probably going to be some of the heavier snows you're going to see throughout the day. Not to say that everyone's going to see heavy snow, but what we have ongoing in the lower, middle, and upper levels of the atmosphere is a meteorological phenomenon called frontogenesis. This is really just a fancy term of referring to cold front or a warm front, but a front strengthening. And when that happens, we get a lot more vertical motion in the atmosphere, a lot more lift, and that in turn, all that mumbo jumbo leads to heavier precipitation rates. So your heaviest snow is going, and your heaviest precipitation rates are going to be found right up along the cold front, and that's going to be right up on that rain snow line today. As you push this forward, though, as you head on over towards 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you see that that rain snow line by lunchtime has now crashed down to the south and east. And we already know that we have some dry air working in. So where we start to see some of these lighter colors in here, you can kind of see that right through here through parts of Calvert, St. Mary's County. It's probably a little bit of a dry slot in there, and that doesn't surprise me. As you push this forward, though, you see that and you can see those dry slots developing by 12 and 1 o'clock, off and on snow showers. I think we're probably going to look at some form of snow on the radar through much of the afternoon, probably clearing by mid to late afternoon. Futurecast shows by 3, 4, 5 o'clock, we really start to get the snow out of here at that point. So I know that radar right now isn't overly impressive for some of you. If I take you on over to here we go. Coming on over here, you can see right now that snow sleet line, but you see this dry air down here, and then we have dry air back here to the west. So do keep that in mind that while we're looking at that transition to snow, you're probably going to get some dry pockets in there it's going to shut the snow off a little bit. Maybe you're just talking about flurries instead of a more heavy snow. The areas that are seeing the heaviest snow are to the north and west of DC, and we're getting snowfall reports you can see here of up to 4 inches in parts of Carroll County, back towards parts of Loudoun County. 1 inch reports getting as close to us as DC right now. I'm up here in the Harrisburg area. We have probably a good 2 inches of snow outside. So this is where some of the heavier snows are falling, but that's not to say this is a heavy snow. We've seen far more impactful systems. I'm thinking back to the January system where we saw a foot of snow for some of you. We're not talking about that. I think, again, at most we're talking maybe a slushy inch or so. If we take you back on over here, though, to Futurecast, what I do want to put on here would be the Futurecast snow total. So this would be additional snowfall accumulation. Some of you have yet to see any snowfall accumulation, so this would just be snowfall accumulation in totality then. Futurecast, it paints maybe up to half an inch of snow up here through parts of St. Mary's County, Calvert County. Maybe once you get north of Prince Frederick into the west of Hughesville, you're talking maybe more like up to an inch, and Futurecast tries to put around 2 inches of snow or so as we head on over towards Indian Head, with the far greater snowfall totals, again, up to 3, 4 inches north and west of the Washington, D.C. area. I do want to give a quick look around at our different traffic cameras this morning, take a look at what it is we're seeing. I want to check on Chesapeake Beach, see if, we have a little bit of, it's hard to see here, lots of rain. But I am seeing some white spots falling. That would be that sleet trying to fall. Let's see what we have going on down here in Leonardtown. We're just looking at rain here, 5 at 2:43. We see this here. Just a little bit of rain coming on through. And as we head on over here towards the Newburgh area, we'll see if we're picking up on any snow here. Maybe a little bit. Typically, when we get this like white tint here on this camera, that would be a little bit of snow. And you can see those little white particles flying across flying across there for you. But I want to load radar back up though, and it really does help us to pinpoint where it is we're taking a look at that rain snow line. Let me take you on over here. This should help. There we go. Yeah, this is more of our sensitive radar, and it really allows us to kind of analyze what's going on. And yeah, temperatures 37 in Solomons, 34 and over towards Benedict, 32 in Indian Head, 32 in Waldorf, 33 at Chesapeake Beach. Still 41 down here just south of St. Mary's City there, right up along the Potomac River. But to the north and west, this is where you're really starting to get in on some of those maybe more moderate snows coming down, and you're seeing those colder temperatures as well. I saw someone put in the comments that it's snowing heavily in Shadyside, and I wouldn't doubt that. You do definitely have some snow out there. And I see, what is that, Sandy saying some off and on sleet in Hollywood. And yeah, down here, you can see that where that dry air is trying to work on in. I want to see if I can't just loop this a little bit. And this is just the last like 20 minutes or so. You can see how we start the loop with a decent amount of precipitation, but as we work this through, we see that dry air try to take over a little bit. And I don't think that this is everything we'll see. We still have all of this precipitation back here to the west that still has to move on through. So that tells me that even if we see some dry air, we should be able to fill that in later on this afternoon. So not talking a lot of snow. We never really were. But I do think we will see snow fall at some point today in some form for everyone. I think even down there towards Ridge, you should be able to get in on at least some snow falling. I think maybe 3/4 or half of us see an actual snow accumulation that's more than a coating, and maybe only a good quarter of the area sees a accumulation of more than an inch or so. And that, again, is really going to be out here west of 301. We're talking western Charles, parts of PG, and Arundel counties. And that is where we currently have a winter weather advisory in effect. But if we come over here, I do want to take a look at current wind reports because those are also picking up. And that's really going to become the biggest story here as we continue to push things on through. So let's get this loaded up for you. We are starting to see, yeah, there we go, where we're getting these bright pinks. These would be wind gust numbers that are getting up over 30 miles an hour. These purples getting close to 40. And we're beginning to see that in our region. Pax River is currently gusting up to 33 miles per hour, 31 on over towards Annapolis. I believe a couple of hours ago when we got that thunderstorm that moved through, parts of St. Mary's County, Pax River recorded a max gust of like 46 miles an hour. And so far, Pax River has recorded just about 2/3 of an inch of rain. I do want to double check that though, because we should have some new numbers that have come in now. And yeah, we're probably a little bit closer to 3/4 of an inch of rain so far. But yeah, back at 7:22, when we had that heavier thunderstorm move through, we saw winds get up towards 46 miles an hour, sustained at 37, which is pretty impressive. But if we take you on over here, I want to get loaded in here today's forecast graphic I threw together this morning. Some of it, is kind of old, but here we go. Now, as we sit right around 10 o'clock, again, we're talking rain going to sleet and snow. 10 o'clock, forecasted temperature is 35. We're down into the 30s for many of us, 40s for far southern locations. And you'll see that temperature only continues to decrease throughout the day. We're probably getting into the lower 20s tonight. So temperature of 22 at 10 o'clock. We're going to be sitting right around that point throughout tonight. Those winds will be the gustiest between now and about 10 p.m. So the next 12 hours, you're probably talking wind gusts getting up towards 40, 45, 50, maybe even for a couple of you up to 55 miles an hour at times. And that will only add to the travel difficulties. So while we're not talking about snow accumulation on the roadways right now, we will be talking about those colder temperatures. We're getting below freezing. It's going to allow any wetness that's currently on our roadways to freeze right up. And so we're going to be talking about slick spots developing, black ice by tonight. So do keep that in mind. And these winds are only going to, kind of create further issues for you as we move through the rest of today. And while the snow won't accumulate, it will bring down visibility. So you get some slick spots and then you're trying to battle the snowflakes. You're going to have a little bit of a difficult time driving out there. Winds do gradually die down as we head throughout the night tonight. Tomorrow morning when you're waking up, we're probably only talking about wind gusts upwards of 15 miles an hour. But when we have temperatures that are at like 20 degrees and you can add in a 15 mile an hour wind gust, those feel like numbers are going to be down to the single digits for many of us and the lower teens for others. So it's going to be a very cold night. We've gone from 50 this morning and we're headed down to, it feels like, number of 8 degrees by tomorrow morning. So quite the change and what it is we're looking at across the region. But this is the typical March weather. It's always the battle between the seasons, and sure enough, that is exactly what we have ongoing across the region this morning. But good news is that I do think this is probably the last bit of winter we have to deal with. And actually, this should be another slide here. The long-term temperature outlook for us, it's above average. And typically my go-to thing is our snow season in Southern Maryland really runs from about Martin Luther King Jr. Day up through about St. Patrick's Day. Mid-January to mid-March is typically our snow season here. The train that I live in front of is currently passing. And without fail, it comes through every time we do one of these. With the peak of snow season really being President's Day. And St. Patrick's Day is next week, and I don't see any additional chances for snow before then and after St. Patrick's Day. I mean, it's hard for us to get snow in March to start with, but I think this is probably our last round of winter weather. Maybe the cold temperatures try to stick around towards the beginning of April. Not necessarily this cold, but 40s, maybe lower 50s. But yeah, this is probably it. So make sure you enjoy it while you can. This will probably be the last day we're doing winter weather coverage for the next 8 months. So you got to savor every moment of it. But we do see we have that dry slot really kind of kicking into effect through parts of our region. We still have those off and on sleet showers, but that area of snow is slowly working its way here to the east. We'll let radar loop here a little bit as it wants to get itself together. Takes a couple of runs to get there. We can see where we started with snow this a little bit ago. We have that dry spot working in, but yeah, so that's pretty much what we're talking about right now at 10:17. Tomorrow is going to be a cold day though, so really this weekend is winter's last gasp for you. You're going to want those blankets. You're going to want the heat turned on and the winter coats for today and for tomorrow, but we do return to the 60s next week. And even though I'm one of the biggest winter weather lovers you will meet, I'm ready for it. Granted, I'm not ready for the allergies that come associated with it. Brenda, of course. So I always have updates, and I've been thinking of a way we could still do live streams, maybe every week, every other week through the calm weather season. We'll see. And it's nice because, and this happened last year, where our last winter weather event happened, I believe, winter last year happened within 3 weeks between January 29th and February 17th. We had storms every other day, and last winter, that was the beginning of my spring semester. I was so stressed out. This year, it's been a little bit more spread out, which is nice. But last year, we went, I think our last winter weather event was February 17th, and we didn't do another one of these lives until April, when we started to look at severe weather move-ins. So clearly it's not going to be that long of an absence from the live stream because we're doing one right now. But we're getting towards the end of part of my semester, which means my schedule gets a little crazy. And yeah, the clocks go up and I hate it. I hate it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything we have ongoing right now. So we'll continue to track this. Again, we're maybe talking about up to an inch for some of you and off and on snow showers between now through about 3 or 4 o'clock. And then we'll slowly clear out, but temperatures really drop tonight. So have a nice and safe one. We'll probably do another one of these lives as we get closer towards noon. And I'll, of course, have updates, written updates, those types of things on Facebook, facebook.com/JBWeather, Twitter @JB_weather, and on Instagram @JBWeather. So have a nice and safe one. Keep it tuned right here. I'll continue to keep you up to date on today's weather events. And be aware, those winds are really going to start to kick up as we head throughout the day today.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.